Well, how did we meet? Actually, Jack had started skating way before me. The first time I ever saw him was in Florida at the beach, and I thought he was a very attractive guy. I thought, loved the patchwork quilt on his legs. But he looked at me at 17 as jailbait, so nothing happened. He also had a girlfriend.
So you weren't in the Derby yet?
No. Oh, no, I was in the Derby.
Okay.
No, that was like the first race that I'd ever gone out
Well,
of.
tell them about when I had the roller derby clinic in New York. I was
You
training.
tell him.
They put me in charge of what's called a roller derby clinic, and they just wanted to let anyone skate or have a try at skating, and in the entire New York and the New Jersey area. And she was living in Jersey at the time, you know, and so she and her girlfriend cut school, and they come to my training thing. I call it the roller derby clinic. It was just a training session, and I could only put about 20 skaters on the track at one time, and then Nellie, such a young-looking girl, and her friend, they come up, and I'm loaded. I got 300 or 400 people there, 300, 400 kids that want to get on the track. So I had to turn her down.
He turned me away, and I was crushed. He told me, nice girl like you doesn't really want to do this. But I persisted. I started skating in what they called junior roller derby at the time, and I was the first person to ever come out of that, first skater to ever come out of junior roller derby. And Buddy Atkinson, who's here, was the person who picked me up. I also, doing the skating for junior roller derby, Freddie Cohen tried to hire me in 1951, but I was 16 and I had another year to finish high school, and my mother said, no way. So I was very lucky. 2 weeks after I graduated high school, I was on my way to Miami skating.
The Derby always traveled then?
Oh, yes.
It was always a traveling show.
Yeah.
And what year did you start?
I started skating in 1952 in February. I graduated January 25th, and
And how many years?
I'd say probably 5 years straight, but then I would go back, and then I would have a baby, and I'd maybe go back again. But we never traveled again, except right after we had our daughter Lori. We went back east, and we skated in New York and Boston, and that was because my grandmother was in Boston, and we wanted to show off the grandkids.
New Bedford, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, she was in New Bedford, but we were skating in Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the time I was just about had my foot in the door in the studios, and that's what I wanted to do, you know. And so to visit her relatives and show them my kids, I took the trip back, you know, and just made a half-ass effort at skating, and out of shape, everything else. And just did it because of her family.
Yeah.
And then
Actually,
when we
his
got
family,
back
too.
off the trip, well, I got a job as a truck driver in the studios, and then it just went on, and I finally did a picture with the last picture Reagan did, called The Killers, you know, loosely based on Hemingway's Killers, but pretty loose.
Yeah.
And Cassavetes and Lee I knew, and they went, and I was gaffing a go-kart sequence with Angie Dickinson and Cassavetes driving, and a bunch of race cars, and driving the insert car for the camera car, and this is where you belong in the guild. And I says, well, I'm glad somebody agreed with me. I've been trying to get in for 10 years. And I said, so boom, it was signed with Don Siegel as the director, and Cassavetes and Lee Marvin's name. I went to the credit union and got a loan from the credit union from the drivers and got the guild card, and 2 weeks later I told the transportation I'm out.
Right. Tell me, you know, a young married couple in the Derby, could they make enough money to buy a home, to save to buy a home?
If you watched it,
Yeah, you could.
Was it a good living?
No.
Nothing like athletes get today, I suppose.
No, not at all. But it was a good living. I mean, we loved each other. We enjoyed, you know, all the skaters really had fun together. We never had to worry about where we were going to sleep or eat or any of that kind of stuff. So it was a very carefree life. When you started to have children, though, and taking them on the road, that
Right.
became difficult. And
Yeah.
especially once they were old enough to start school,
Sure.
you had to really start thinking differently.
I want to fast forward and then we can backtrack whatever direction we want to go. But
Okay.
you now kind of take over these reunions.
I just did this for the first time this year, and
Oh.
what a deal!
How many skaters are involved? Or tell me a little bit about what you're doing for the roller derby these days.
I write a newsletter that gets printed every other month and sent out to all the skaters. There's like at least 225 skaters on a mailing list right now. And as we find them, old or new, we add them to the list so that they can get the newsletter. Then I organized the reunion for this year, and I used Marilyn Cummings as a resource. She was a wonderful, wonderful resource because she'd done it for 13 years. And so she gave me, you know, lots of hints and understandings as far as to how much it might cost and that kind of stuff. She just didn't tell me about all the other work.
Here's something that just popped into my head. Do you think there could be a bridge from what's going on now with what they call roller jam, which is not roller derby?
Right.
With a generation, do they show an interest in the original skaters and want to know about them?
They
Could there
se-
be a bridge between the two?
I think that there could be a bridge between the two, and I'd love to see it happen. I think, you know, just Jerry coming to this reunion alone, and he's writing, or they're going to have a book out that's going from roller derby to roller jam. Whether the people who are skating now will really want to come, I don't know, but we're going to try to tell them to keep their roller derby family going, because they'll never, ever have the same kind of feeling for people that they will for the people that they're you know, skated with for years. Hopefully it'll go on for years like we did, and they will build that
well,
relationship.
basically what they did with the new group is they watched all the films from the 50s and the stuff that
Right.
we did, and they're just doing it over. And then the real good skating, I think, ended in the late 50s, and it got other promoters and other hokum merchants, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if people can buy wrestling today, why can't they buy this?
I would like you to feel free, both of you or anyone, if you have an opinion about things, you know, whatever you feel about.
I feel like, hey, you know, they're the same as we were when we were young.
Right.
It's something they were interested in. It's something that they wanted to do, and let them go. You know, best of luck.
And you know something, that they're not bad skaters. How they ever skate on those inlines, I don't know. But I mean, because it looks awkward to me. But you can see that they can move. You know, they've got ability, and if they keep doing this, I think that they can really have a lot of fun and do a good job of it.
Well, it's going to be a tough shot for them if they take it on the road where they have to have a portable track, you see. That track they're skating on is a permanent fixture. They can't move it around like we moved the old tracks around. But Jerry, and I'm sure that there's no making it with the roller derby unless you've got TV coverage. And as long as they've got TV coverage, there's going to be a certain amount of people who's going to be interested. But when they take it on the road, it may be a few problems. But good luck to them.
Yeah.
Why not something, you know, that you don't, that you did yourself, you know? So I heard a couple of friends of mine, how bad it was. I says, wait a minute. You know, I says, I've seen some other things after I got out of the game that was as corny as they are, and you guys were doing corny. Well, I ain't gonna mention the name, but you know what I'm talking about, and I seen them do as corny stuff too, especially when we went to. I went to England, France, and Spain at one point, and then we went to Japan, and I skated both sides of the. And naturally, there's more hokum over there than they would try to do in New York. But the the 50s and the late 40s in New York, they tried to keep the hokum or showmanship, whatever you want to call it, right? They tried to keep it at a minimum, and it was a believable thing, you know, because you didn't go out there with doing theatrics and stuff, and well. You know, but the whole viewing public now has changed so much. Like I mentioned earlier, if people are buying wrestling to the extent that they are buying it, this isn't as hokey as wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they got a chance.
It takes a lot of ability.
Any serious injuries from you?
Broken nose, and that was it.
Yeah. How about you, Jeff?
Well, we had a thing going where it was a pileup, and some clown's supposed to jump over all of us, and he sat on my foot and broke my foot. But as far as anything, you know, no. I was too busy with racing motorcycles and getting hurt at that.
Yeah.
And I did 15 years in stunt work, and seriously, I never really hurt myself doing this because you don't overmatch yourself. If you're not sure, 99% that you can do the gag that they want,
right?
You ain't got any business taking it, and you don't get any sympathy for it if you screw it up and screw yourself up.
Sure.
And we were very lucky. There was only one fatality that I know of. It was way before my time at Bogash. Was one kid that get killed. And jumped over the benches and hit on the track and crushed his chest. But that's the only fatality I ever heard of in the history of roller derby.
Mm-hmm.
From skating, yeah. I worry about these guys because that track has no give. And ours, at least, when you hit it, it was masonite, and it was, unless you hit the beam where the track was being held up, you could bounce.
The jacks.
Yeah, the jacks. But theirs has no
I
give.
was talking to somebody yesterday. Now, I know nothing about rollerblades, absolutely nothing, but they were telling me about a hockey rollerblade player who says, and they got really good knee pads and elbow pads, more than we used to wear. So he claims that they go on their knees rather than fall down on their butt for some reason. And I noticed that, and I'm thinking, that's a goofy way to fall, going forward when you can sit down.
I think they got the high-tech gear,
Yeah.
that absorbs that, because I wear that stuff. And,
Do you?
And off-road motorcycles and that. And it's plastics and layers of foam.
That's
You can take it. Yeah,
It'll take the shock. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
Yes, the safety equipment that they got for motorcycle racing now is, in my day, I got a hole in my left leg that was there because I had too shorter boots.
Mm-hmm.
Although we were requested to wear leathers, but only leather pants. And then a hole in my shoulder from being too hot at a fast mile track in Nashville. And I took the jacket off and then got off and tore a hole in my shoulder and fractured my skull. But today, the stuff they're wearing chest protectors and shoulder pads, and it's smart,
Yeah.
But the skaters that I see in this roller jam, they go forward. I don't understand how they hurt themselves more than they do.
Yeah. It's the gear.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, or thoughts about roller derby and what it did for you?
What it did for me, I mean, I have never regretted that I skated. I learned how to deal with people. I met so many people that you got to understand the different kinds of people that there are in this world. It was an education. It was better than college, and it stood me in
Well, put her
really good.
position of that Xerox, which she put 20 years in, retired, and running 30, 40 people. So she
30
must
years.
have learned something from skating. She didn't get it out of college.
Yeah, I really feel it was an education in how to deal with people and how to relate to people and that kind of thing, and it made it very easy for me to go into the business world and advance.
Sure.